Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. This video is a crash course on ChatGPT tips and tricks. By the end of this video, you will learn how to use ChatGPT effectively and become 2 times productive in delivering your day-to-day activities. In one of our last videos, I've shown you how to use ChatGPT to create an impressive resume, and many of you people have liked that. Many people try to implement that, created their resumes, and in the comment section people have asked to create a detailed video on ChatGPT tips and tricks. And here I am making this full video on explaining ChatGPT tips and tricks to help you use ChatGPT effectively. Now without any further delay, let me start with the first trick that I am going to share you in today's video. So the first trick is that, so whenever you are using ChatGPT, you have to make sure that you use the ChatGPT to solve a problem. For example, on a day-to-day basis, whether you are a DevOps engineer, whether you are a developer, whether you are test engineer, automation test engineer, there are many new tools and technologies in the market, right? So let's say today there is a new tool in the DevOps world, and of course there will be the official documentation that is written by that new tool developers, or there will be a lot of blogs that will be published by the people who have used that new tool. Now let's say you want to learn that new tool, you will go to the official documentation and you will find that the documentation is very lengthy, and all the blogs that I've written are very confusing for you, and you will be looking for some help, right? Because there will be hundreds of blogs that are published, and on a day-to-day basis there might be multiple tools that are introduced, or you have to catch up with a lot of tools and technologies in the market, and you don't have time for it. So what you can do is you can use ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to summarize that lengthy blogs or summarize that lengthy official documentation. For example, let's say I want to learn about Kubernetes services. If I go to the official Kubernetes website, this is something that is written about the Kubernetes service. Now, for some reason, I'm not understanding this one, or this is very lengthy for me to read, and I want someone to help me with summarizing those points for me. So see what I'm going to do. Can you please summarize the below points in 3 lines? Okay. So what I asked ChatGPT, so this is the prompt that I'm providing, and I'm asking ChatGPT to please summarize the below number of points into just 3 lines. And I'll just use Shift Enter, and I am going to paste that entire thing here. Now ChatGPT will read through all those lines and it will give you the summary of all the points in just 3 lines. Now you can provide how much lengthy blog it is. ChatGPT will read through it and it will give you a summary in fraction of seconds or in seconds of time, right? Isn't this amazing? So now you can use ChatGPT and read through all those blogs that are available. Let's say you have to catch up with 15 blogs, you have to read official documentation of a lot of websites. Now don't worry, ChatGPT is here for you and it will help you in summarizing those entire things for you. Trick number two. Trick number two is that many people find it difficult in understanding reading the blogs in English, or let's say you are following some documentation and you are not that comfortable in reading through the documentation in English. What you can do is you can use ChatGPT again and ask ChatGPT to translate that to your mother tongue or in the language that you are comfortable with. For example, let's say, can you please translate the above for me into Hindi? Now you might be thinking that, okay, Abhishek, I'm using ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT is translating that entire thing for me in Hindi. But what is so great about it? I can also use a Google translator. This is what you might be thinking, right? Now, wait for trick number 3, where you will understand why ChatGPT is better than the Google translator or any other translators that are available in market. Where you will understand, okay, why did I cover this trick number 2? But I have something more to cover here. Okay, so ChatGPT has converted this entire thing in the trick number 2. And now see the magic that not just it will explain you in Hindi, but most of the times, depending upon your region, there can be different slangs in Hindi as well. And sometimes you will be comfortable in someone explaining you in that slang. Let's say you might be comfortable with Hindi, but you are more comfortable with Hyderabadi Hindi. So you can ask ChatGPT, can you please translate the above for me in Hyderabadi Hindi? And it will explain you in that slang that you have requested. And see here, it is trying to compare it with a biryani, and it is trying to explain you ChatGPT in terms of biryani or whatever it is. Like depending upon that dialect or depending upon that slang that you have asked, ChatGPT is trying to explain you Kubernetes services. So this way you might be more relatable. I mean, you are relating more yourself with the concept, and you might learn this very quickly, right? So this is trick number 2. Trick number 3, where I've told you, okay, you might be thinking Hyderabadi Hindi is fine, Spanish, French. I can use Google Translator to do this work for me in exactly same way. But the interesting part is, let's say you have done this conversion and you are reading through this entire thing. And even after reading it, this point number 3 is not that much clear for you. Okay. Now, what you can ask ChatGPT is, can you please explain the point number 3 in much detailed way in Hindi? So here, this is something that none of the translators can do for you, right? There can be multiple translators in the market, but they will only translate, they will do the true translation, right? Whatever you give in English, it will translate that same thing for you in Hindi or in French or in Spanish. But here, it can also read through that points that it has provided, read through the translation that it has provided, and it can explain you any point in a much deeper way, or it can elaborate that point for you so that you can understand that in a better way. So this is the trick number 3 for you. And the trick number 4 is that, now let's say you want to learn this thing, like you are trying to run the Kubernetes services, and you have translated it, you have done whatever you want, but still it is somewhat tricky for you in understanding the real life use cases, right? You are not able to understand how DevOps engineer will use this Kubernetes services on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so again, the trick number 4 is that you can ask ChatGPT, can you explain the above with real life use cases and scenarios? See, ChatGPT is providing you real life scenarios. Real life scenario 1, online shopping application. So if let's say there is a project called online shopping application, how Kubernetes will help you in that online shopping application, whether it can be Amazon, Flipkart, or anything. It's a e-commerce website, and how Kubernetes services are used in e-commerce websites, right? So nobody is going to tell you this information. No blogs, no. I mean, you might get it, but you have to dig through a lot of blogs. You might have to talk to a lot of people who have real-time experience. But ChatGPT can help you without interacting with anyone. Now you don't have to go to a lot of people and ask them, okay, how are you using Kubernetes service? Please explain. ChatGPT is your savior. Using ChatGPT, you can understand exactly the real life use cases of any particular activity or any particular tool and technology, right? And also with this same trick, what you can do is you can also ask ChatGPT, perfect, I understood the real life use case. Can you please help me in understanding the troubleshooting activities DevOps engineers perform with Kubernetes services? So you will also get the troubleshooting activities. Most of the times during your interviews, this is your pain point, right? You will not be able to understand what are the real time issues and how DevOps engineers will troubleshoot those issues. And here using ChatGPT, you can learn that thing. You can learn how DevOps engineer will troubleshoot an issue, how a real time issue is caused in production, what are the detailed steps, and what are the detailed steps how DevOps engineer will troubleshoot and resolve the issue. So you are getting all those things using ChatGPT. Isn't this amazing? Now let's say you don't know how AWS VPC is used in real time. You don't know how Kubernetes services are used in real time. You don't know how service mesh is used in real time. Make use of ChatGPT. Learn the real life use cases. After that, learn the troubleshooting. Prepare yourself for interview, and you will be easily able to crack the interviews because ChatGPT is a savior for you. Now, saying all of these things, before I move to the next point, one thing that I have to tell you here is that ChatGPT is a chatbot that is developed by OpenAI, right? And this is very, very important for you to understand that it follows the large language module, right? So there are a lot of large language models that are available here. ChatGPT is also based on the large language model, and these large language models can intelligently invent wrong answers. Understand what I'm trying to say? So these AI tools, they read through a lot of data, they use the large language model, and sometimes if they don't know the answer, okay, let's say here what we are trying to do is we have provided Kubernetes services documentation, and we are asking Kubernetes, okay, sorry, we are asking ChatGPT, can you please translate, can you please explain the real life use cases, troubleshoot. But let's say you ask ChatGPT about a tool that does not have that much documentation, and that tool was new to the market or is new to the market, then ChatGPT may not have that much information. And when you ask for troubleshooting activities or when you ask for something, it can intelligently invent wrong answers as well. For example, let me give you one scenario. Let's say you want to learn about Argo CD using ChatGPT. Argo CD was invented like 4 to 5 years back, and it got very much popular with the evolution of GitOps. And I think last 2 to 3 years or last 3 to 4 years, Argo CD has been very popular. And ChatGPT is like, it has information till September 2021, I guess. So there is very much information, very much less information with ChatGPT regarding or related to Argo CD. In such cases, you have to be very, very careful with this ChatGPT, or to that matter of fact, any large language model, command line or chatbots. For example, you are learning about Argo CD and you want to ask about real life use cases, troubleshooting activities related to Argo CD by DevOps engineers, then you have to be very careful. And you have to definitely cross check that information with someone, or someone, you have some documentation blogs that are available. Take this information, verify the things that you have learned is right or wrong. This is for the tools and technologies that has very limited documentation. And I'm repeating again, large language models are prone to inventing wrong answers. They will very intelligently invent the wrong answers for you. So be very careful with it. Try to re-verify the information. Okay, now trick number 5 is that whenever you are doing anything with respect to ChatGPT, provide as much details as possible. I have explained this in the resume building class as well, right? I use ChatGPT to create an impressive resume. Even there, if you watch that video, you can check that using the link in the description. I have provided a very detailed prompt to ChatGPT. I have explained ChatGPT. For example, I want to build a resume. So just do not ask ChatGPT, can you please create a resume for me? What are your entire requirements? Like, for example, can you create a resume for me? I have 5 years of experience. I have worked in 2 different companies. I am a DevOps and cloud engineer. I want to you I want to show all the latest tools and technologies in DevOps in my resume, or you can also ask it like related to your job description. Let's say you are applying for a job description, then you can go through those job description and you can provide the points as well. For example, you can say, I want to show the details related to my work experience on Kubernetes, Docker, whatever is required for you here. Now ChatGPT can provide you a resume in a much better way, right? Because you have given it enough information about you. See, it is trying to provide two different companies. This is company one, this is company two, and it has created points that are segregated in two different companies, right? So in company one, this is your work experience. In company two, this is your work experience. So this way, when you provide it enough information, it can give you much relevant answer for you, right? So try to give prompts in a much detailed way. Do not give precise prompts. Like for example, when you're talking to some chatbot, you might be thinking that, okay, let me give it as precise information as possible. But for large language models, you have to give very detailed prompt. Precise information will not work for you. And point number 6, or you can consider as a tip or trick number 6, is summarize on the important points. Let's say I can ask ChatGPT, write a poem for me in 30 words. Okay. Now ChatGPT is writing a poem for me, but see the number of words here. Can you count the words and prove me? You will see that the number of words are only 25, I guess. Let's see. Can you count the words and prove me? So see, it said that, okay, sorry for my previous response. There were only 28 words. Now you might be thinking, Abhishek, why did this happen? I've asked ChatGPT to give a poem for me in 30 words, but it only gave me in 28 words. Why is that? Because you need to stress on the important point. If your point is that you need to write a poem in 30 words exactly, then you have to provide that information to ChatGPT. I'm not telling you that once you provide that, ChatGPT will give you exactly 28 words, but it will try to give answer better than this one. So here it gave you in 28 words, right? Now let's try this. Sorry, there was some issue with my machine. So here, what I was telling is it gave me in 28 words. Now let's try to do this. Can you write a poem for me in exact 30 words? Okay. So the only thing that is different is here I asked to write a poem in 30 words, and here I asked to write a poem in exact 30 words. So here it gave me in 28. Let's try to see what will happen here. Okay. Now let's ask ChatGPT to count the number of words. Please count the number of words for me in the above poem. Okay, it gave in 31, but it is slightly closer, right? So here what has happened is it gave me in 28 words. So there is two difference here, right? I asked in 30, it gave me in 28. Now I just used exactly one word different. I've added that, can you please count, I've added, can you write a poem for me in exact 30 words? Now what has happened is it gave me in 31 words. Of course, it has not given me in exact 30 words. It has revised and it gave me, but in the initial run, it gave me in 31, but still better than this last one, right? So what is the difference? I've just added in one more word explaining it what is my requirement. So that's why whenever you are asking something to ChatGPT, make sure you stress on the important word to get as much close information as possible. You might not get exactly what you are requesting for, but you will get as much close as possible to the information, right? So I hope you understood what I mean by here. Give the detailed and summarize on the, or stress on the point that you require. Now the next trick here is that, or you can consider it as a tip, or you can consider it as a trick. So most of the times, when you are using ChatGPT, I've seen people using this one conversation tab for everything. Right now in this conversation tab, I've asked ChatGPT, what is Kubernetes? Then we switch to poetry, right? Let's say we switch to something else here. What you need to do is, instead of maintaining the conversation in one chat, you can take different chats. That means here you can restrict one chat related to Kubernetes service. You can take a new chat, and here you can ask about, for example, you want to learn about Docker. Instead of continuing in the same conversation, create a new conversation. Or let's say you want to learn about Ansible, which is completely different from Kubernetes, right? So when ChatGPT is talking to you in one conversation, it remembers your all the last questions. For example, what was my last question to you? Okay, so here it will explain what was my last question. So my last question was, please count the number of words. Whereas if you take a new chat and if you ask the same question in the new chat, what was my last question to you? Here it will not remember what was my last question, right? What did it say? Your last question to me was, what was my last question to you? I mean, it gave me that this is the first question that you asked me. Whereas in the previous conversation, it was able to explain what was the last question. That is, please count the number of words in the poem. So ChatGPT remembers all your questions. It remembers your entire conversation. You can assume that you are talking to a chat executive here, right? And this chat, whenever you are talking to one representative, and in this one, you are talking to a complete different representative or executive. And this person does not know about the conversation that you are doing in the other chat, right? So why is this important? Is, let's say you want to use ChatGPT for two different purposes. One is you want to learn about Kubernetes, and the other thing is you want to learn about Ansible. Try to keep both the things in different conversations so that ChatGPT will not be confused about questions that you are asking. Okay, for example, you are asking explain about tasks. ChatGPT will confuse, are you asking about Ansible or are you asking about Kubernetes? If you try to keep different conversations, it can give you answers in a much better way. Sorry again. Okay, hope you understood what do I mean by here. Now, the next trick, and I think this is one of the most important things that most of you are looking for. How can I use ChatGPT to learn things, right? Let's say I want to learn about complete Kubernetes. So instead of asking ChatGPT to give you details about Kubernetes completely, learn things in this way that I'm going to explain. So first, you need to ask ChatGPT, can you explain what are the important concepts to start with learning in Kubernetes? And then tell ChatGPT that I want to learn Kubernetes in 7 days. Okay, for example, each day I want to cover one important topic with real life use cases. Okay, this is how you learn things with ChatGPT. See, what it will do is it will give you what are the things that you have to learn with Kubernetes in 7 days. So first day, it is telling you learn about the containers, learn about the process of containerization and the basics of containerization. Second day, learn about introduction to Kubernetes. Third day, learn about managing pods and deployments. Fourth day, learn about Kubernetes services and networking. Fifth day, learn about config maps and secrets. This is sixth day, and this is seventh day, that is on monitoring. Now, what I'm going to do is even much interesting. Now I can ask, I can ask ChatGPT, explain points to learn in day one and summarize on each of the topics. Okay, so I can ask here, explain topics to learn in day one and summarize the each topic. Now again, ChatGPT will respond you back with the things that you have to learn on the first day as well, right? Previously it explained you that what are the things to learn in 7 days to master Kubernetes, and here I asked explain about day one and the things to summarize on day one, and it has provided all the details that I have to learn in day one as well. And again, you can additionally ask to explain point number 5 in the last answer in detailed way. So this way you can use ChatGPT to prepare your own documentation of what you want to learn, right? See, it has also elaborated on the point number 5. So you can keep asking it questions and it will give you the answers, and you can prepare your own notes completely. Like you can start creating a GitHub repository for yourself. Say that, 7 days Kubernetes learning, and you can add the points. Then you can stress on the sub points to ChatGPT, and it will also provide details on the sub point. So create your own documentation in the MD files. And the next trick is that you can ask ChatGPT to convert the above points to MD file, and it will convert this entire thing to MD file. You can simply paste this to your GitHub. You don't even have to write anything, like, you don't have to take that hard times in creating your MD files or JSON files, YAML files, anything. Like you can provide it a YAML and you can ask it to convert it to JSON. It can do it for you. You can provide a YAML and you can ask it to extract the objects from the YAML. It can do it for you. So use this tool effectively so that you can master things and you can learn things in a efficient way. Now, I think these are the 8 important tips and tricks that I want to share you and how you can learn things. But finally, I mean, before I end this course, one thing that I want to tell you is, see, end of the day, it is a chatbot. It is a chatbot that is developed by OpenAI using the large language model. And this will not be 100% accurate. This cannot be right all the time. You can get it as much close as possible. I mean, you can get as much close or as much correct as answer as possible if your prompts are correct. That means if you are trying to provide a detailed information, if you are trying to explain it, what is your exact requirement, you might get as much close possible answer as possible. Okay, so try to do that. Now learn, keep trying, keep giving prompts, keep trying to understand what is the answer that is giving you, and that way you can also improve in the prompt engineering point of view, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. You have learned a lot of things today. Let me know in the comment section if you found something interesting or something that you did not know previously. And please share this video with your friends and colleagues who are looking to learn ChatGPT effectively. Thank you so much. See you all in the next video. Take care.